Welcome to this in-depth audiobook-style summary of Viktor E. Frankl's timeless masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning. In this powerful book, Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychiatrist, explores the human capacity to find meaning, even in the most horrific circumstances. In the next, we'll walk through the two main parts of this book: Frankl's harrowing experiences in Nazi concentration camps and the psychological philosophy he developed from them, logotherapy. Whether you're looking to deepen your understanding of human resilience or uncover your own purpose in life, this journey will change the way you see suffering, responsibility, and meaning. Part 1. Experiences in a concentration camp. Viktor Frankl begins with a powerful account of his time in 4 Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. As a prisoner, stripped of everything, his family, his freedom, even his name, Frankl was reduced to number 119104. But even in these unimaginable conditions, Frankl discovered profound truth. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Let's dive into the stages of camp life and what Frankl learned from each. Stage 1. Admission and shock. The first phase of a prisoner's psychological reaction was shock, the initial trauma upon arrival. Frankl recalls the moment prisoners arrived at Auschwitz. Luggage was taken, heads were shaved, clothes removed. Men, women, and children were separated, many forever. Some were immediately sent to gas chambers. Others, like Frankl, were selected for labor. The horror was numbing. Emotions were frozen. Death seemed irrelevant. The mind, as Frankl puts it, went into a state of protective denial. Stage 2. Apathy, the blunting of emotions. Once the shock faded, apathy set in. This was the second psychological phase. Apathy became a survival tool. Prisoners had to shut down emotionally just to cope. Daily life was filled with starvation, cold, disease, and brutality. Beatings were routine. Hope was rare. Yet even in this numbness, Frankl noticed something extraordinary. Some prisoners gave up. They smoked their last cigarette, a symbolic sign they had accepted death. Others held on through faith, love, or dreams of a future. Frankl himself imagined himself lecturing after the war about the psychology of suffering. This vision gave him strength. He called it future meaning. Stage 3. Liberation and emptiness. When the war ended and prisoners were finally liberated, you expect joy, right? But the third stage of camp life was emotional numbness, followed by disillusionment. Many survivors found that the world had moved on. Families were gone. Dreams shattered. Society didn't understand their trauma. Frankl explains this as an existential vacuum, a feeling of emptiness that occurs when life loses its direction. Lessons from the camps. So, what did Frankl learn from these years of inhuman suffering? 1. That suffering is unavoidable, but how we respond is a choice. 2. That meaning can be found even in the worst conditions, if we hold on to a purpose beyond ourselves. And 3. That freedom exists even in a concentration camp, the freedom to choose one's attitude. Part 2. Logotherapy in a nutshell. After surviving the camps, Frankl returned to his work in psychiatry. He developed a new form of therapy called logotherapy, derived from the Greek word logos, meaning meaning. While Freud's psychoanalysis focused on pleasure and Adler's focus on power, Frankl believed the primary drive in life is not pleasure or power, but purpose. Let's explore the core ideas behind logotherapy, the will to meaning. According to Frankl, the central motivation in our lives is the will to meaning. When people cannot find meaning, they fall into despair, depression, or aggression. Unlike other therapies, logotherapy doesn't dwell on the past. Instead, it focuses on the future, on what one can still do with their life. Frankl writes, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." This quote, borrowed from Nietzsche, sums up logotherapy perfectly. Finding meaning in 3 ways. So how can we find meaning in our lives? Frankl says there are 3 main ways: by creating work or doing a deed. Purpose is often found in creation, whether through art, a career, or a project. Producing something of value gives life significance. By experiencing something or encountering someone. Love, beauty, nature, music. These can awaken deep meaning. Loving someone, truly seeing them, is one of the highest forms of fulfillment by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When pain is inescapable, our response defines us. Frankl calls this the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Responsibility over happiness. Frankl challenges the modern obsession with happiness. He argues that happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. It is the byproduct of living a life with purpose. He writes, "Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it, the more you are going to miss it. Success will follow you precisely because you have forgotten to think of it." Frankl even suggests the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast should be complemented with a Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast, because freedom without responsibility is empty, existential vacuum, and the modern world. In the modern world, many suffer from an existential vacuum, a deep inner void. Without clear values or direction, people fill their lives with distractions, pleasure, consumerism, or addiction. Frankl argues that man is not destroyed by suffering, but by suffering without meaning. Even in the face of loss, tragedy, or death, meaning can transform despair into purpose. This is what he saw in the camps, and it applies just as much to us today. Tragic optimism, saying yes to life. Frankl introduces the idea of tragic optimism, the ability to remain hopeful despite life's inevitable pain. This doesn't mean denying tragedy. It means affirming life in spite of its tragedies. According to Frankl, life's three tragic realities are pain, guilt, death, but each can be turned into something meaningful. Pain becomes growth. Guilt becomes redemption. Death becomes a reason to act meaningfully today. Real-life examples. Frankl shares stories of patients who found meaning in their darkest moments. A grieving man who lost his wife overcame despair by realizing he could now suffer for her, sparing her the grief. Ultimately, Frankl's message is one of hope and responsibility. You may not control your circumstances, but you always control how you respond. Every day, in every moment, you are asked by life, what meaning will you create with this? Whether you're facing a crisis or simply seeking purpose, remember this. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning. Let these final thoughts stay with you. Find your why. It will carry you through any how. Choose to respond with love, with hope, with strength, even when life is hard. Remember that you always have a choice, and in that choice lies your freedom. Thank you for listening to this audiobook-style summary of Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring summaries and deep dives into the world's most powerful books. And always remember, meaning is not something we find. It's something we create. We'll see you in the next one.